Beer is one of the oldest drinks humanity has ever created. It's older than wine, older than most civilizations, and for thousands of years people have brewed it using just 4 simple ingredients. But here's the strange part. Even though billions of people drink beer, most people actually have no idea what beer really is. Is it fermented grain? Is it alcoholic bread? Or is it something much more complex? Today, we're going to answer a surprisingly simple question. What exactly is beer? And by the end of this video, you'll understand how beer exists at all, and why humans have been obsessed with it for 10,000 years. At its most basic level, beer is a fermented grain drink. That means beer is created when grains are converted into sugars. Those sugars are fermented by yeast, and the result is alcohol, flavor, and carbonation. But beer isn't just fermented grain. It's a carefully balanced mixture of 4 key ingredients: water, malted grain, hops, and yeast. Each one plays a specific role in shaping the final drink. Remove any of them and the beverage you end up with might not even be beer anymore. But to understand beer properly, we need to go deeper, because beer is actually a chain reaction of biology, chemistry, and brewing science. Every beer begins with grain. Most commonly, that grain is barley, but brewers also use wheat, rye, oats, rice, and corn. Grain contains starch, a complex carbohydrate that yeast cannot ferment directly. So brewers must first convert those starches into sugars. To do that, they use a process called malting. During malting, barley grains are soaked in water and allowed to begin germinating. This activates natural enzymes inside the grain. Then the grain is dried in a kiln, which stops the growth process but preserves the enzymes. Now the grain is called malt. And malt contains the tools brewers need to unlock the sugars inside the grain. Once malted grain is ready, brewers grind it and mix it with hot water. This step is called mashing. During the mash, enzymes inside the malt break down starch molecules into fermentable sugars. The result is a sweet liquid called wort. Wort is essentially unfermented beer. At this stage, it contains sugars, proteins, minerals, and flavor compounds extracted from the grain. But there's still one major problem. Sweet liquid alone doesn't taste like beer. That's where the next ingredient comes in. If beer were only fermented grain sugar, it would taste extremely sweet. That's why brewers add hops. Hops are the flowers of a climbing plant called Humulus lupulus. They add bitterness, aroma, and stability to beer. When hops are boiled with wort, they release compounds called alpha acids. These acids balance the sweetness of the malt. Without hops, beer would taste flat and overly sugary. But hops also add something else. They produce aromas that can smell like citrus, pine, flowers, fruit, spice, or even tropical flavors. Modern craft brewing has turned hops into one of the most creative ingredients in beer, but beer still isn't complete, because something important still hasn't happened yet. There's still no alcohol. Alcohol appears when yeast begins fermentation. Yeast are microscopic organisms that consume sugar. When yeast eats sugar, it produces 2 important byproducts, alcohol and carbon dioxide. The alcohol stays dissolved in the beer. The carbon dioxide creates natural carbonation. This process is called fermentation, and it's the moment when sweet wort finally becomes beer. Different types of yeast create different styles of beer. Some ferment warm and produce fruity flavors. Others ferment cold and create cleaner, smoother beers. This difference is what ultimately separates the 2 biggest beer families, ale and lager. But we'll explore that in the next video. Now that we've seen the process, we can finally define beer more precisely. Beer is a fermented beverage made from malted grain, flavored with hops, and transformed by yeast into alcohol and carbonation. What makes beer unique is that it combines agriculture, biology, chemistry, and centuries of brewing tradition. The result is one of the most diverse drinks on earth. Beer can be light or dark, sweet or bitter, fruity or roasted, smooth or intensely hoppy, and yet every beer begins with the exact same basic foundation: 4 ingredients, 1 fermentation process, and thousands of years of human experimentation. So now you know what beer really is, but this raises an even bigger question. If beer only has 4 main ingredients, how can breweries create thousands of completely different beers? Why do some beers taste smooth and clean, while others taste bitter, fruity, smoky, or even like chocolate and coffee? The answer comes down to one critical difference in brewing, and that difference divides the entire world of beer into 2 fundamental categories. In the next video, we'll explore the question that defines almost every beer on earth: what is the difference between ale and lager?